Hey everybody, my name's Ryan. Welcome back to the channel. So happy that you chose to stop in today and watch this video. We are going to be talking about, I've got 3 things I've written down that I really hope distilleries stop doing in 2025. And these are just practices in general that I think are kind of holding us back a little bit. And I'd love to be a little bit more forward thinking when it comes to what, especially legacy distillers, but everybody in general, are going to be putting out on shelves this year. Now, as always, feedback in the whiskey community is a slow process to respond to, because if somebody says, I really hope that you start offering this product, and it's somebody who doesn't make rye whiskey, they could be like, okay, well, 6 years from now, we'll have it for you. You know what I mean? So a lot of this stuff is not like immediate turnaround, but these are just a few things that I hope we start to see some shifts and changes in. Feel free to pour yourself something, cheers, and sip along with me as we unpack these topics together. I'm enjoying a pour from Little Book, Path Not Taken, one of my preferred bottles from 2024. Okay, 3 things distilleries gotta stop doing. The first one I think I'm gonna start with is a little interesting because it's not like an ultimatum, but I feel like we're starting to get a little weird with it. Okay, and it's finishing whiskey. And, you know, I feel like this is a trend that's really caught on, especially these last couple of years. We're starting to see a lot more bottles hitting the shelves where it's like, finished in this thing you've never heard of. Jurançon, this is a specific kind of white wine from France. Or it's, different rum cask finishes. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think rum finishes go well with bourbons, and people keep doing them. And I'm like, it's too sweet. You know, you got corn whiskey and you've got rum. It's just a lot of sugar. It's just too sweet. I need some more base, some more body. It works okay with ryes, but other than that, I'm also not a fan of rum finishes on like malted barley beverages either. Like American Single Malts, Westward does an amazing job, but their rum cask finish is a no from me. Same thing with who is it? Is it Balvenie or one of the Isla Scotches maybe that does? No, it's a Speyside. I forget. Is it Glenlivet? It might be Glenlivet. Does like a rum finish. I had it once and I was like, nope, hard no from me. But we're just starting to do so many different finishes, and what's happening is you're starting to see a lot of these whiskeys that are like, especially with younger distilleries who don't have a ton of well-aged stock, what they're doing is they're taking okay whiskey and putting it in another barrel so that the other barrel then flavors the whiskey. You know, it's kind of a workaround. Like, we're not allowed to put flavoring in our whiskey, but what you can do is flavor a barrel and then put your whiskey in that barrel. So it feels like a bit of a way of maybe covering up youthfulness. And I think it's just kind of getting out of hand where we have so many different finishes, and most of them just end up being, at least the newer ones, just end up being kind of weird. I've got this Dancing Goat, for example. If you've never had anything from Dancing Goat, this is weird. It's called their Mazed and Confused. It's 9-year-old corn whiskey, but it's finished in cherry bitters barrels. It's friggin' weird. It tastes like an old-fashioned, but not quite as refreshing. It's strange. And it's like, man, you guys have good whiskey. Like Dancing Goat, by the way, if you've never had their like high rye bourbon, it's actually really good stuff. And it's like, man, this is weird though. And I feel like a lot of people are doing a lot of weird stuff. Anyways, I would appreciate, I don't mind finished stuff. There's some finished stuff that's really good. I also like double oaked stuff. Your like port and sherry finished stuff that goes over really well. All that stuff's great, but we're starting to get into some weird territory with stuff that doesn't quite work. And I just kind of want to see a return to form where it's just like, hey, whatever happened to just making a good bourbon or making a good rye? You know what I mean? So I'd like to see a little bit more of a return to form. Maybe get a little less crazy. Keep things grounded. Anyways, I like finished whiskey, but I feel like we're starting to get a little out of hand. Next thing on my list, concealing or hiding info. And a lot of times I don't think it's like an intentional thing or a malicious thing, but so many distilleries just hide the statistics of the product. And it's like, I want to know what's in the bottle before I buy the bottle. I had this recently where, I won't say the name of the NDP, but I got kind of lit up for it by a couple of people because I got some of the information wrong about the bottle. But as it turns out, the bottle itself, if you go to their website, there's zero information. There's just a classification that it's bourbon. There's no proof, there's no age, there's no mash bill, no bottling date, barrel, none of it. Okay, none of it. So it's just zero information on their website. And I'm like, They're like, you should have done your research. I was like, I tried. I'm sorry, I got a couple things wrong. I was going through the grapevine from other people who had this bottle. And not only that, but in order to get the bottle, you had to like probably be a Patreon supporter of something. So I was like, you guys gotta give me a little bit of grace here. They hid all that information. I don't know that it was malicious or anything or of ill intent, but they just didn't publish it anywhere. Nobody had it. And a lot of companies do this. I really wish that it would become the industry standard. I don't really care if I have to go to your website to find the information, as long as it's there. I think that every distillery should have a page or at least a blurb on a page for every product they have. And that blurb should have the age, mash, and one thing that I think is really important, also proof, but also really important, MSRP. And I kind of understand why they don't want to publish MSRP, because they don't want you to like check it on the website, find their bottle on a shelf for $10 more and be like, I'm not paying that. But I also think it's really important to know those things. It's literally the manufacturer's suggested retail price. That's what MSRP means. So if it's your recommendation that your product be sold for a certain dollar amount, I want to know what you think your product is worth. Because our money is kind of hard earned, especially these days. I would like to know those things. I will say some companies out there do this very well. Bardstown Bourbon, for example, let me grab one of their bottles. This is what I appreciate about them. This bottle in particular is a private barrel from one of the employees that he had bottled up and sent a bottle to me, which Andrew Jury, thank you so much, man. That was such a kind thing to do. And this is one of my favorite whiskeys on my shelf. It is so freaking good. But they are so committed to transparency that since they didn't have a label printed out for this specific private barrel that was hiding away in the warehouse, what they did is they hand wrote everything on it right there. Everything is handwritten on this bottle. I have the mash bill, I have the proof, I have the age, everything I could want to know right there. And so Bardstown's really good about transparency when it comes to this stuff. I mean, you get like one of their collaborative series, and if it's a blend, it'll tell you what whiskeys are in the blend, what distilleries they came from, and the ratios. This is 75% an 8-year-old high rye bourbon from this distiller. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate that. But I also really wish that it wasn't something that was abnormal, that we called attention to it when we saw it and said, hey, you're doing a really good job at this. I wish it was just the standard. I wish everybody did that. Also, it would take care of some of the issues we've had where people have gotten in trouble with either mislabeling or not including specific information on their labeling, and some distilleries and NDPs have actually gotten in trouble for that in the past couple of years. It would eliminate that problem if everybody was just transparent about what's in the bottle. And the last thing I want to talk about today, last topic, things I wish distilleries would stop doing, is I wish it would stop focusing so much on highly limited releases that are $200 or more. Like, some legacy distilleries, not to be named, released multiple $200+ bottles this year. And it's like, guys, I know that there's hype around these releases and they generate a lot of impressions and clicks, but the average whiskey enthusiast just wants you to continue to make a really good shelfer product. You know, this is one of the things that has been a recurring theme. I don't watch a ton of whiskey YouTubers, but I do watch SLB because I think that Kurt and Trenton are just great guys. I like their banter. I like their relationship. I like the way they see whiskey, the way they perceive the whiskey industry. And I think that they're really down-to-earth guys. One of the things that's been a recurring theme for them this year is they feel like the quality of the Wild Turkey 101 has gone down. And I really appreciated that they said that, because that used to be like one of my staple bottom shelf buys, where it's like, I don't know what to get. I'm not in the mood for anything fancy. I want like a guilt-free pour. Let's pick up a bottle of 101 and I can sip on that for a couple of weeks. Easy peasy. But I felt like, I was like, is my palate changing or is this getting worse? And then they started saying, I think this is getting worse. And I was like, oh, thank you. But on the flip side, Wild Turkey's been pumping out, I mean, to their credit, Russell's 13, Russell's 15, some incredible bottles, but not very obtainable. You got to go the extra mile to get your hand on that bottle. In the meantime, it feels like their shelfers are deteriorating in quality. And it feels like there's just been this shift where the focus is really on the top shelf and the limited releases. I just want very consistent, main, like, $30 to $60 price range bottles. It's been a theme with Old Forester too. A lot of people saying 1920 has really fallen off, and that used to be for a lot of people. They're like, 1920 was my bottle. That was the thing that I always had in the house because it tasted really good. It was approachable. It was on every shelf, every store. 60 bucks, take it home, last me a month. Perfect bottle. But it feels like it's been deteriorating in quality. And on the flip side, what do we get from them? We get the 1924, which, by the way, I thought was really good, but still it's a flip in focus where the approachable stuff is going down and the unapproachable stuff is trending up. And I think it should go the other way around. I think to their credit, a couple of distilleries are doing a really good job at this. Jim Beam did a great job in 2024 with hitting every shelf, okay? We had the 7-year black label was released early in 2024, and it's been available all year. So easy to get your hands on that bottle. It's everywhere. But it's 27 to 30 bucks, depending on where you get it. And it's super sippable, super crushable, 7 years of age on that for 30 bucks or less. That's a really good deal. Not only that, but I think the Booker's stuff was not as good this year, to be fair. Booker's was not as good this year as previous years. But the Little Book, like Little Book, Path Not Taken, this, exceptional. Loving it. And so they hit on multiple shelf levels this year, and I think to their credit, they did a good job at that. Bardstown, with their Origin series, doing a great job there. The Weeded was released this year. The Weeded Bourbon, that is a $50 bottle. The black label's a $40 bottle. The white label's around that too. Very approachable, consistently good, right? Consistently good. But you've even got these craft distilleries that are trying to pump out $200 bottles and drive up hype around these releases. And it's like, guys, I just want good whiskey that I don't feel guilty about drinking and that I don't have to jump through multiple hoops to get my hands on, and I don't have to lose 2 days of pay to get it. That's kind of where I'm at with that. So that is my list. Is there anything going into 2025 that would make your list of things that you wish distilleries would stop doing or dial it back a little bit? Feel free to leave those in the comments section. I always read those, and they're quite interesting to me. Big shout out to all of our newer folks here on the channel. We've, between a couple of videos that did pretty well for my channel size in the past month, we've had a lot of new faces around here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. We have a wonderful community, and we'd love to get to know you. So there's a link to the Discord in the description. It's totally free to join. Hop on over there, introduce yourself, and say hello. And we've got a wonderful community that would be happy to receive you, get to know you back. If you decide, don't do it right now, but if you decide after a while, like, hey, I like these people. This is kind of cool. I vibe with these folks. If at that point you're like, I'd like to get more involved, we do have a Patreon group as well. The entry point, though, we try to make everything accessible here. The base entry is $1. It's basically free. And that gets you into the Patreon lounge. You can meet the people there, get a little bit more involved in our community. And then we sometimes have things like bottle shares, tasting events, and stuff like that we like to do. And you'll get access to that stuff too. So if you want to escalate things and stick around a little bit longer, you can choose to do that. And it's very approachable to do so. But thank you so much for tuning into the video. If you enjoyed it, would you let me know by leaving a like on the video, as that's the best free way to support the content right here on YouTube. And with that, I say cheers, my friends. I don't know why I thought that would go differently. In my head, I thought this is going to be a really nice cling with the pen, but it's a rubber grip. So it just kind of like thunk. Let me find... This is safe. Pair of scissors. That didn't work either. Fine, I'll get a bottle. Cheers. May you live richly and get better with age, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.